Hello, guys, and it is my YouTube duty to welcome you to part 2 of ranking every single Mario Kart track. Today, we're going to rank tracks placed on my ranking from 264th to 234th. So, with no time to waste, let's start right now. 264th GBA SNES Vanilla Lake 2. The reason why this one is below the original, it's just by one spot. The only reason why this is below the original is really because the music sounds compressed. I know that's not a thing I should be focusing on, but it is what I am focusing on for tiebreakers like this. And GBA SNS Vanilla Lake 2, of course, just fell below Vanilla Lake 2, which I ranked 263rd. The only reason why it's so low down, or actually pretty high compared to most people, is because the ice is actually kind of annoying. So the ice blocks on the road. I don't know if that's Vanilla Lake 1 or 2. I think it's in both, but in both it's really annoying. 262 DS Desert Hills. DS Desert Hills, honestly, I think in my opinion it gets too much hate. Now I know I had just ranked it 262nd, but trust me, I think it gets way too much hate. Most people would have put it in the last video I made. Desert Hills it's a pretty good track. I can't wrap my head around why people would hate it. Why is it low for me? Because I just genuinely I think it's not more on the track's fault. I think it's more on the game's fault because the game was just lacking in so many cool elements that could have made this track way more fun. Like if Desert Hills was a Mario Kart 8 track, you could have anti-gravity at the end of the track, lots of tricking, lots of ramps, lots of that pool, the puddle in the beginning of the track. You could go in there. It would be just pretty fun if this was a Mario Kart 8 track instead of a Mario Kart DS track. So I think it falls more on the game's fault rather than the track's fault. 261 DS GBA Peach Circuit. The reason why this is lower than the original and in 261st place is because it is genuinely it's boring in the original game, but the track is upscaled like most of the other retro tracks, meaning that there isn't really much room for combat like what Mario Kart should be about. 260 GBA Peach Circuit, the original. Why is it so low? It's boring. I just said that it was boring. Did you guys really just not pay attention? It's boring. Alright? I don't gotta say more. This is probably the most boring track you could have open a game. 259 SNES Mario Circuit 4. Okay, it's honestly it's nothing short of a miracle that this is not in the first episode. This is just Mario Circuit 3 flipped. Now, what's different with it? Well, I mean, it's a bit longer. I can't defend it. If someone came up to me and said, "Here's $1 million, defend SNES Mario Circuit 4," I would just kind of have to steal it from their hand and run away because I can't defend Mario Circuit 4. But it is in 259th for a reason, and if someone can point out that reason in the comments, please do. Alright, let's speed up a bit. 258 GBA SNES Mario Circuit 4. And sticking with the short amount of time thing I just said, same reasons as SNES Mario Circuit 4. It's only higher because one of them had to be higher, so I just chose this one. 257 GBA SNES Vanilla Lake 1. Annoying, ice cubes, bad music, bad track, bad everything, bad game. 256 Wii DS Desert Hills. Okay, maybe we're going a bit too fast, especially with that last one. Wii DS Desert Hills is more of the same reasons why I put DS Desert Hills so low, but I think it's higher probably because of, I think the visuals play a huge part in this. If it wasn't for the visuals, it'd probably be low with DS Desert Hills as well. 255 NS Tour Tokyo Blur. We're not counting the Tour Nitro tracks, but we are going to be counting the retro tracks that do appear in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, like Tokyo Blur, which I really can't land my finger on it, but I think we can all agree it's not a good track. 254 DS Mario Circuit. Um, yeah, I've never come to like this track, and I doubt I'm ever going to get myself to like this track. It is my least favorite Mario Circuit track, aside from the SNES ones, and that's not even close. It's undoubtedly the most boring. I remember playing it, and I was like, I hate this track. I hate it so much. And I can't come to myself to like DS Mario Circuit. And honestly, it's a miracle that it's at 254th. 253 SNES Vanilla Lake 1. Yeah, let's go back to making these short because this is just not a good track. Not a good track. 252 DS GBA Bowser Castle 2. And the reason why it's so far down actually surprised me because I didn't think there were 251 tracks better than this one. Apparently there are. Yeah, I kind of like it, but I guess it does bring a couple spots down due to the overexcitement of the ramps, which I am a fan of ramps, but only in the most three recent games when there are tricks. When you can't do tricks, the ramps are pointless, and that's probably why it's dragged so low down. These next three are basically the same track, so I'm gonna have the same image up for all three and just say the same thing. For 251, SNES Ghost Valley 1, 250, GBA SNES Ghost Valley 3, and 249, GBA SNES Ghost Valley 1. Yeah, I mean, the reason why they're so low down, I am a fan of ghost tracks. I love ghost tracks, and I think most ghost tracks are done well. These ghost tracks aren't that well, and I guess you could really say that just falls under me not liking Super Mario Kart and Super Circuit all that much, but yeah, they're boring, flat tracks, but they do have quite a bit of shortcuts. And the reason why they're in this order is because Ghost Valley 1 on Super Circuit, the graphics look cool more so than Ghost Valley 3, and of course SNES. And a brief interruption from talking about Ghost Valley tracks to talk about NS Mario Circuit, one of the most boring Mario Circuit tracks. It has grown on me a little. If you were to ask me what are your favorite tracks, or your least favorite tracks in Mario Kart, say maybe even as recent as maybe a year ago, I probably still would have said, "Oh, NS Mario Circuit? Yeah, that's like one of my least favorite tracks." But rapidly it's been growing on me. So, in the next year, by December 2024, who knows? Maybe I'll be an animate Mario Circuit NS fan. I doubt it though. Breaks over, boys. 247. SNES Ghost Valley 3. The last Ghost Valley track that I think I'm gonna have to rank, and definitely in this video, SNES Ghost Valley 3. It's higher above the rest of the Ghost Valley tracks and Mario Circuit because there's just this something to it that I can't really put my finger on. I know I haven't been able to put my finger on a lot of things this episode, but this one specifically, there's something about it that I just cannot put my little fingertip on it why I put this higher. But Ghost Valley 3 has that special something to it. I know most people uh, don't really think the same thing. But if you do think that there is a special something to Ghost Valley 3 and can put your fingertip on it, please leave me a what it is in the comments below. 246 NS N64 Toad's Turnpike. The reason why this falls just short below the original is because, yeah, I think I most people would agree with me that it doesn't really feel the same. And I'm not gonna say, oh, I can't land my finger on it because I can. I've played Mario Kart 64 a number of times. The earliest I can remember myself playing it was when I was 3 years old, and Like, I'm not born in the 1980s or 1990s. So that's kind of incredible. And I remember Ted's Turnpike. I never liked it because of how hard it was, but it's growing on me now that I am a more competitive player and I am not like some loser that plays on 50cc all the time. But yeah, the traffic in the original, that's all I need to say. It was so cruel. And for the remake, they toned it down a little bit, which it's not my favorite. 245 and 64 Toads Turnpike. I saw somewhere, I don't know if it's real or fake, because, I can't drive yet. Um, Apparently, the original version of N64 Toads Turnpike isn't even a turnpike at all. It like has to do something with the rails or something, but in Mark 8 it is. Someone who can drive, please verify me for that, because I don't know. But aside from that, the traffic I just mentioned, it is cruel. But that's what I love about the track. And that's why it ended up being higher up than the other one. Again, I don't like the track. I don't know why I said I like the track. I don't. It's not my favorite track in the whole universe. But I will say, it's not as bad as some babies make it out to be. 244 DS N64 Frappe Snowland. I said this before, but I'm just gonna say it again. I think that the DS retro tracks are horrible, and the retro tracks that were selected for the game are robbed. And if one of your favorite track are any of the 16 tracks chosen from Mario Kart DS, you got robbed. But some of them, and I say some of them, made it into either Mario Kart Tour or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's Booster Course Pass, Frappe's Nolan being one of them, so they should be extremely fortunate. And as a fan of the original, I could proudly say, I don't like this. 243. GBA SNES Choco Island 1. Choco Island 1 is my least favorite of the Choco Island genres, and, well, when it's put into Super Circuit, which typically flubs the remakes, yeah, it's obviously going to come out worse than the original. 242. DS N64 Moo Moo Farm. I literally just talked about how much I hated the DS remakes, so I'm not going to go over that again. Moo Moo Farm is higher because I actually prefer Moo Moo Farm to Frappe Snowland. I don't know if I reflected this in the ranking, but that is a personal preference. I get more excited to play Moo Moo Farm than Frappe Snowland. And I'm equally as mad that they didn't get into the Booster Course Pass. 241. SNES Choco Island 2. To conclude the video, I'm just going to list off why I do not like this track, and why it is so lucky to not be in the next part. Bad track, bad game, bad graphics, bad layout. But it is higher than, can't do math right now, I'm not going to even, I think 42 tracks. It's higher than those other tracks because I like desert tracks.